You're starting a business, you've got so many things to learn. Like a whole new platform for social media is not one of those things. Well, hello there, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Super excited to chat with you today. I want to talk to you about 5 things that every new business is going to have. Okay. Listen, I know that in the beginning stages of when you are starting a business, it can be really overwhelming because there's like so many things that need done. And you're thinking to yourself, like, I don't know all the things. I know I'm completely overwhelmed by the things I do know need to be done. And yet I'm sure that there are other things that I'm not even certain of. And so it ends up kind of feeling really overwhelming. I want you to know, first of all, that that's totally normal. I'm actually going to look up a podcast episode, Why I Talk to You. If you're watching me on YouTube, yes, you're going to see me typing and hearing me as well. Jennifer Allwood podcast. Why is the start so hard? Okay, there we go. If you want, you can go. Okay, that brings up the YouTube version. It was on July the 22nd of this year. Also, hang on a minute. Dun, 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 dun. Why are things always harder in the beginning? But what's the number? I was trying to figure out the number of that for you. Podcast number. It's going to be 400 something. Just go watch it on YouTube, I guess. But I literally did a podcast about why at the beginning everything seems just a little bit harder. And so I want you to know that if you're feeling like, okay, Jen, I'm just starting and I'm completely overwhelmed, like this is normal. Can we just normalize things being messy in the beginning? I mean, because that's what it's going to be when you first start a business. So I just need you to know that. And I'm still wasting your time by looking at a podcast episode number and I can't figure out which one it is. And now I just feel like I can't quit. It's got to be close. It's got to be close. Hang on. Just hang on. Okay. Hang on. I see nothing. It was in July though. Go find something in July from me. Okay. Um, but what I thought I would do today is I thought I would talk about the 5 things that for sure you need to do if you're going to start your business. The 5 things that, like, if you focus on nothing else, if you're completely overwhelmed, just know that these 5 things are going to be the most important. And I don't know that they're necessarily in order, but also they're kind of in order. So I guess you can go like out of order a little bit, but if you just like want to make note of these things, in fact, here's what I often do. If I'm listening to a podcast or watching one on YouTube, which some of you might be, and if you're noticing that I've got my hair up in a little bit of a different do, yes, I do. If you're also noticing that I look like, a librarian, yes, I do. I was going for the smart librarian look today. But you can literally, while you're listening, just say, hey, Siri, make a note and have her like make a note of these 5 things for you. And then it'll just go right back to playing the podcast. So anyhow, that's what I want to go over today because I think that checklists are helpful and I think this is going to be helpful for you. So let's get started. Okay. So number 1, if you're starting a business, first you need to come up with a business name. Now, listen, I know that that sounds so simple. But there is so much that I believe happens psychologically and spiritually to when something is given a name. Okay. I can remember back when I was starting my painting company. I actually started that back in like 1999. It officially became a business in the year 2000. But friends, I spent like over 6 months trying to come up with a name for my painting company. I eventually landed on the magic brush, which was never my favorite. And people people struggled with that. They thought I was a hairbrush company. They thought it was the magic bus. They thought I was like, what you rent for bachelorette and bachelor parties, the magic bush, that we were landscapers. I can't even tell you the number of like funny stories I have. And I never loved the magic brush. But the truth was, it took me 6 months to even land on that. And even though I didn't have a business coach then, even though podcasts weren't a thing back then in the year 2000, instinctively, I knew that like this is holding me up because I don't have a name for it. It's holding me up because I can't make the website. I can't tell people that. I can't make business cards. Yes, that was back when there was business cards. I can't put anything in the yellow pages. Yes, that's when the yellow pages were a thing until I get the business name. So like I knew in my knower that this was like really delaying things. So eventually I just had to pick something that I was like okay-ish with. All right. So with that being said, you need a business name. Couple things to think of when you are picking a business name. Okay. I want it to be number 1, like something that reflects you and your brand. It aligns with your identity, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So make it feel like it's about you. Don't use words that you would never use. Make sure, that it's something that is appropriate and aligns with, what it is that you're doing and with who you are. Okay. Two, make it really short. Try to keep it easy to spell. Try to keep it easy to pronounce. I actually wanted to name the painting company Chateau de Faux, which means House of Fake in French. But I thought Chateau de Faux was a lot of fun. Okay, turns out, thank God I didn't do that, because who would have been able to pronounce that? They would have said Chateau de Fox is what they would have said. Okay. They would have said Chateau de Fox, and then they would have not known what that meant. They never would have been able to like go type it into Google because they wouldn't be able to pronounce it. And so keep it short, keep it easy to spell, keep it easy to pronounce. All right. I want you to avoid really tricky or overly like clever names, thinking you're being cute, thinking you're being clever, but I don't want you to confuse people. It's better for you to go with something that's semi-boring than something that's so clever or so tricky that people can't ever remember it, if that makes sense. All right. I do want you to make sure it's unique, though, unique enough that you're going to stand out from your competitors. And the biggest thing is I want you to check that domain name and the social media handles to see if those are available. So like, you could go and make sure the magicbrush.com is not used. Turns out it was. So I had to do the magicbrushink.com. That was fine. The social media handles were all available eventually when social media became a thing. So I just went with that. But the name thing is important, friends, because it's almost like, for those of you that are moms, I want you to like hear this. And I know you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. There's something that happens if you're pregnant or you're adopting or what have you. When you give the baby a name, it makes everything more like tangible. It's no longer a lofty idea. Now it's like actually got some legs to it. It's no longer like, a pie in the sky thing. It's like, oh goodness, this is actually happening. Same thing happens when you name your business. It's like psychologically, you're going to walk a little different because now the thing has a name. For a lot of you, you've been avoiding doing this very step because you also know that naming it makes it more real. Making it more real feels more vulnerable, and you would rather cut off your arm than feel more vulnerable. And I get it. But the truth is, you can't have a business without a name. The Bible even says that a good name is like better than rubies or something. And I know the Bible's talking about like a last name, or maybe even just more so like a reputation, but the naming of things matters. It does. So get your business named. That is number one. Okay. Number two, I want you to think about the branding of your business. Now, listen, I think branding is a hard concept for people to like wrap their heads around. All right. It's not just your logo and your colors, although those are part of your brand. It's also about like creating an identity for your company in the minds of like people who will hopefully become your clients. And so you need to think about what your brand is going to be. Like my brand really includes loud colors, a lot of me. My brand includes, my faith. We've got a certain signature and a font that we like to use. I also think that like in terms of my voice in the online space, light, fun, faith-filled, but like those are all parts of like my brand. Okay. So when you're thinking about your brand, I want you to think about your logo. Yes. I also want you to think about like the colors for your company, for your brand, and the fonts, because you're going to need to use those things consistently. And you can take that one step further by like thinking, okay, am I naturally like a snarky, funny, sarcastic person? Like that's just needing to be part of your brand. You would want the logo, the colors, and the fonts and all those things to kind of line up with that. If you are super serious, you're somebody that wears all white and gray and black, like your brand should reflect that too. You wouldn't have my brand colors, which are gold and navy and pink. You would have something that's more a reflection of you. Okay. And so please know that you can be exactly who you are when it comes to your branding. I want you to be playful if that's who you are. I want you to be professional. If that's who you are. I want you to be super bold or funny or whatever. I want you to have like a tone of voice that you speak in. It's in your emails. It's on your social media. I don't want you to change being you. I just want to make sure that your brand is a really good reflection of who you are and who your company is, because there's really no difference in the two. All right. And so, good branding is all about creating like recognition, creating trust with people. That way, when people see your logo, they see one of your social media posts, they see your website, like they instantly know who you are and a little bit about how you behave, what you stand for, all those things. So you need to really think through your branding. Also, don't spend so much time though on it that you get stuck there. Like working with a team like mine or something, we usually give people like, a couple of different logos to choose from, a couple of different fonts, a couple of different like branding color, different specimens that they can choose from. But I don't want you to like sit here for months and months and months. Please know that so few things on this side of heaven are permanent. Your branding is not one of them. If you go all in the blue and the pink and the gold, like I have, and decide later that you absolutely hate it, well, you can shift it. But you do have to make some of those decisions up front because all the rest of the things are hinging on those. Okay. So 1 was your company name, 2 was your branding. 3, I want you to get your social media accounts started. You have to have social media for your business. You just do. And if you're like, Jen, I hate social media. Actually, probably you don't. You spend a lot of time on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, the way it is. It's just that you don't want to do it for a business. And the reason you don't want to do it for a business is because it feels vulnerable. Okay, I get it. But like vulnerability is kind of the cost of entry in having a business in the online space that allows you time freedom, money freedom, and location freedom. Like you can't really get all of those things without also being willing just to be vulnerable. And part of being vulnerable means you're going to have social media. Yes, I'm putting on some hand lotion. My clients call it my Holy Spirit hand lotion because then I usually start to prophesy or really get bold in some of my statements. So prepare yourself. You need social media. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You actually need 2 different social media accounts. So I want you to think, okay, where do you spend your most time? If somebody said, okay, you need to get on social media right now and just have fun for the next 30 minutes, where would you go? What platforms would you be on? Because that's where you need to do business then. Okay. And if you're like, okay, I can't do it on TikTok. Yes, you can. Oh, but what if all this stuff happens in the world with TikTok? Well, and if it does, then you can start another social media. But right now, I just want you to focus on starting social media on the 2 platforms where you feel really comfortable and where you like to play. Because if you've never even been on Instagram, to think that you are going to start an Instagram account, understand how to post on it, understand how to do stories, posts, reels, all those things, like you're out of your mind. You're starting a business. You've got so many things to learn. Like a whole new platform for social media is not one of those things. So get on the 2 platforms. I want you to look at like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Pick 2 of those that make sense for you and your audience and start there. Start a social media account in both of those places. Then you're going to have to start actually posting because it's one thing to start an account. It's another thing to actually use said account. Okay. So listen, consistency is really key. You can't post and ghost. You're going to have to post consistently. I often suggest if you're not used to posting on business accounts that you get used to scheduling them. A lot of times I'll take Mondays and I'll schedule my social media for the whole week. If you are feeling really overwhelmed with that idea, you can look at my software, Equip 360, and just go to equip360.com. We have a social media scheduler built in there, and that can help you to just get things done in advance. So you're only doing it on one day for an entire week versus trying to like pop into Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, every single day. And so for a lot of people, that's really, really helpful. But get your social media account started and then start scheduling content or start doing it on the fly every day. Number 4, you are going to need a way to communicate with your clients. Now, listen, this is a big one. Okay. This is a big one because people will say, well, Jen, I just started social media. You told me to start social media. I did that. And so I'm communicating with my clients there, to which I'll say, I get that, but you don't own your social media accounts. That is like rented space on the interwebs, if you will. At any point, Mark Zuckerberg can decide that he doesn't like me. He hates my hair. He hates what I post. And the powers that be on Facebook could take my account down, right? There's not a lot of control in that. I mean, we can do all the things, especially as rule followers, where we check all the boxes and we think that we're following all the rules. And sometimes things just happen. One time, my Facebook account was taken down for 3 days. I've never forgotten how vulnerable that felt to not be using other ways to communicate with my clients and to also not have a way to really let my clients know what was happening. I had an email list. I just really wasn't using it to its full capacity. And so, in addition to your social media, you need to have an email list that's a non negotiable. And I will arm wrestle you if you want. You don't have to have a texting list, but I highly suggest it. Like if you're going to gather somebody's email, you might as well grab their phone number too. Most of you have opted into something recently where it's like first name, last name, email. A lot of you are using an email that nobody even knows about. That's fine. And then it'll give you the option of putting in your phone number, not for SMS marketing. The reason a lot of companies are collecting phone numbers is because it's a very valid way of speaking to your clients and getting sales. And so grab that if you can. Okay. Here's what you're going to need to start an email list. Are you ready? This is like a little sub list of things that you need in addition to what I've already given you. But to build an email list, you're going to have, first of all, like a professional email address. This is not the time to be using at gmail.com or at yahoo.com, or I still have a kc.rr.com email address. Like none of that. You need a professional email address. Okay. Like ours is jen@jenniferallwood.com. You're going to need an opt-in freebie. This is a way that you get people to give you their email address because you're giving something of value to them. If you're, selling products, it could be a coupon. If you are a coach or a teacher of any kind, you can be giving them a freebie. But you're going to need an opt-in, something that they can opt into, and you get their email and they get the freebie from you. That's how you're going to grow your email list. You're going to need like a landing page where you collect the emails, and then you're going to need like some automation so that once somebody gives you their email address, like automatically the thing they're signing up for lands in their inbox. And then also like an automation so that there's emails that follow up to that, which hopefully are leading people to like sales. And so, I know that sometimes that can sound really overwhelming. So the main thing is just for you to like start your email list. Again, if you need a place to start an email list, go to equip360.com. That is where you absolutely can start an email list. All right. Last thing that you're going to have, if you're going to have a business in online spaces, you've got to have a sales page or a website. You have to have a place where people can hit sign up now or pay now, where they're able to give you money is the bottom line. Gone are the days where you can have somebody just like Venmo you. That is no longer working in 2024 and over. Okay. So if you're listening to this in 2025, just know it's even more so. You're going to have a place where people to buy now or they sign up or something. This is going to give you like social proof. It's where people feel more comfortable and confident giving you a credit card because they've actually seen, okay, she has something legit online. It's not, a janky Facebook DM back and forth and you're sending them your PayPal link. Okay. It has to be a website. It has to be a sales page. Back in the day, back when I had my painting company, gosh, you guys, I can remember websites costing like $15,000. Then I can remember, there was a job that I was going to do. I was going to paint this guy's kitchen cabinets black for him. And I remember talking to him and his wife and asking them what they did for a living. And he said that he did website development. And I'm like, ding, 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 I need a website. And I remember at that point, websites were like $5,000, but $5,000 when you're starting a brand new business was a lot of money. So I ended up bartering. I exchanged a website for the magic brush. And in exchange, I painted this couple's cabinets black for them. And it was a really good exchange. But even like then I just remember thinking, gosh, that is such a ton of money to have that social proof, to have that website, but also totally worth it. Okay. Listen, gone are those days again. You no longer have to spend that kind of money on a landing page, on a website, or anything else. But you do have to have something in order for people to feel comfortable and confident with pulling out a credit card for you. And of course, if you're going to build a website, or if you're going to just have a landing page, Equip 360 again is going to be my favorite place to send you to in order to do that. It's that all-in-one software that I've been trying to tell you guys about for the last year. So those are the 5 things that you're going to need for your small business. A business name, like stop stalling, get something picked. Some branding, decisions have got to be made. Just decide. And you can later, you can wonder if you made a mistake or not, but one of the ways I can always tell, and friends, at this point, I've coached well over 20,000 people on small business growth, right? I can always tell the people that take months and years sometimes to make decisions versus the people that are able to decide really quickly. They have a gut feeling and they just go with it. Also knowing that if they made a wrong decision, they can always pivot, they can always shift, they can always undo it, right? There's so few things on this side of heaven that are permanent. Your branding is not one of them. So stop stalling on the name of your business and your branding and just get something picked and let's go. Okay. Then you can start number 3, your social media accounts. Then you can start your email. Then you can start your sales page or your website. It's like those couple of things. I think I said at the beginning of this podcast, this is not in particular order. I lied. It's definitely in order. You've got to have that business name right off the bat. So, man, I hope that this was really, really helpful for you. Obviously, I would love to have you check out equip360.com. Would love to have you send me a DM if this podcast was meaningful to you, if I lit a fire under you in any way. And if nothing else, just make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Send this to a friend of yours who has a dream for a business, who's just not sure where to start. Listen, I think there are so many times people have incredible ideas. God downloads something to them. They feel a call on their life. They have a vision. They have a dream. They have confirmation. The Bible says, let all things be confirmed by 2 or 3 witnesses. So like you can get all of those things, but then you just kind of like blank out on, okay, where do I start? What do I do with this knowledge? What do I do with this feeling that this is what I'm supposed to do? And so hopefully this list of 5 things and in that order is helpful to get you started. If you need help, you let me know. If nothing else, I want you to know for sure that I am rooting for you. All right, my friends, I'll see you next time on the podcast. All right, bye-bye. Easton, could you tell that I got distracted for just a minute? I did get distracted just for a minute because I had somebody send me a text and I'm like, wait a second.